Hey guys, it's Jenny with Art for Good. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about how I had my artwork included in 3 different gallery shows. If you aren't familiar with me or my story, I have a business background. I'm a hobby artist. I've been doing this for about 6 years now, and I have never actively tried to sell my art before. And in the past year or so, I decided to just give it a shot and see what would happen. And I've been kind of documenting my process along the way to share my tips of what I've learned with you all. And getting my artwork into 3 different gallery shows was actually a big surprise thing that happened in this past year. So I'm excited to share that story with you. But before we get started, if you're not a subscriber, please consider joining my community. This is where we talk about all things about getting into the business of selling art, starting a side hustle in art, as well as different fluid art mediums. So let me tell you the story, and at the end I'm going to tell you the 3 things I wish I would have known or done differently now that I know. So my story started when I saw a little art gallery in my local community. We have a little downtown area, super cute little gallery. So I decided to go home and go online and check them out, and found out they were a nonprofit community gallery that featured the art of people in my state. And that intrigued me, so I found their page where they had their call for artist submissions, and they happened to have one coming up that was on a theme was motion, and a lot of my artwork is around motion and movement, and so I decided to submit something. So I submitted that and waited and found out I got in on my first try. So that was really awesome. Now, the way it usually works is they ask you to pay a small fee or like a donation, what have you, to submit your artwork. It's usually like $25, at least the ones in my community are. And even some of them don't even require you to pay that unless you're actually accepted into the show. When you do that, you kind of have to set your price. You pick a price that you are willing to sell the art for, and that's what they advertise in the show. And they take a commission. It's usually about 30% if that piece was to sell, and if it doesn't sell, then you don't have to pay anything else. I dropped off my artwork, all excited to do that, and they were like, okay, there's like dozens of people here, you know, you're not that cool, but that's fine. A few days later, they have an opening night reception. So that was the really fun part. That's where you get to talk to all the artists about all their pieces in the exhibit. You get to meet people interested in art and buying art. You get to just have a good time, and that is really where the connections are made in the art world. I really enjoyed that and was surprised by how fun that part was. The exhibit ran for about a month, and I was just kind of hanging out, waiting to see what was gonna happen. And then after the month was up, I got an email saying, okay, come pick your art up now. And I was like, oh, okay, so it didn't sell, right? So I decided that really I wasn't discouraged at all about that. I mean, it was really kind of a neat bucket list thing almost for me to have a piece of shown even in a small community gallery. It was a big deal to me. So I decided to do some more research and found a couple other local galleries in my area. One is a larger nonprofit gallery in downtown, kind of in the heart of the city. So I decided to check them out. So over the course of the next few weeks, I started doing some more research and found a few more shows to submit to. So I submitted to one on Alice in Wonderland theme, and I waited here and didn't get into that show. So then I found another show that was kind of like history of Florida theme, and so I submitted some things for that and didn't get picked. And then I found they were having a flowers exhibit. I do a lot of flowers. If you haven't seen my YouTube channel, there are a lot of flowers there. So I submitted a couple pieces and actually had 2 of my pieces get picked for the show. So that was super exciting. I went to that opening night exhibit, was just packed. Like I couldn't even find my art because there's so many humans in the building. So love that energy. That's the energy that kind of kept me going with even continuing to pursue having my art in these shows. So I waited and again, didn't sell. So I went to pick up my art, but while I was there, I saw they were having an Edgar Allan Poe theme coming up. And so that really intrigued me for some reason because, I mostly do kind of abstract nature type work. And so it was like I wonder if I can challenge myself to create something that would resonate with an Edgar Allan Poe theme that maybe I could submit. I worked for weeks and weeks on this piece, and actually it's right here, I'll show it to you. For my fluid art folks, I did the background as a fluid art pour, and then I used some spray paint. I drizzled the branches on with fluid art, and then the raven here is actually a collage of acrylic paint skins. So it was really nice and a challenge for me to do. Submitted that and was chosen into the show. And this was actually a prize exhibition. So not all of them have prizes, but this one happened to have some, because of a generous donor, they had some prize, a capability of winning prizes in the show. I waited and waited again, and the show ended and I didn't hear anything. I never got the email to come pick up my art. So I went into the art gallery and found out that my piece had actually sold, which was like, you have no idea how exciting that was to have something actually sell, right, in an art gallery downtown. That was amazing, total moment of just jubilee. So before I get into sort of my 3 things I wish I would have known or done differently in this area, I wanted to see if anyone has any similar stories. Please add your pictures that you had accepted down in the comments below. I'd love to see them. All right, so my 3 things. Number 1 is I wish I would have only paid attention to nonprofit art galleries. There are a lot of private for-profit art galleries that are usually only showcasing 1 or 2 artists that are big names, and that's fine, but there are a lot of kind of scammy options for you that are targeting artists. And if you watched my I Almost Got Scammed video, that has a lot more information. I'll put a link here. But they require you to submit, even online galleries, you submit a fee with your artwork and then you never hear from them again, right? And so they're just racking up all this money. And me personally, I would prefer that my money goes towards a nonprofit cause as a philanthropic kind of donation to support art in my community in particular. So that's why I wish I would have just disregarded most of the for-profit options that I researched, and also the scammy kind of ones that reached out to me. I wish I would have just wrote them off and not spent so much time talking with these people. Lesson number 2 is I wish that I would have just paid more attention to the themes and what my art what matches well with those themes, right? I was really stretching to try to create some things that didn't speak to me as an artist, and it was in some cases not even that fun. So I wish I would have just stuck to what I'm good at doing and tried to match that to the different themes happening. And even if that meant only submitting to 1 show and what have you, that would have been fine. It would have, been a little more authentic to myself and my style. And my last tip is that I wish I would have tried this sooner. I would encourage anybody who's interested in having their art displayed to just give it a try. You really don't have anything to lose. And if anything, you could meet some really cool people in your community who are art lovers and who you can learn from and befriend. So I wish I would have done that sooner. Again, I've been doing this for 6 years and it never even occurred to me that I have a nice little gallery down the street from me that I could have a presence in. Now, lastly, in a similar thread of trying to get into selling your art, another common way to do that is to participate in art fairs. So I'm gonna leave you here with a video that I did on my 10 things I wish I would have known before I had done my first art fair, so that you can continue to learn and grow how to make your art into a viable business. Well, that's all the time I have for today. I'll see you next time.